So today I'm going to do something new and make my first gaming review for the channel with the Marvel's Avengers video game. So I was thinking of diversifying the channel a little more. I've always wanted to do some videos on gaming, but I decided this would be my first one. This is a good fit. This definitely won't be the last. Expect some reviews of Star Wars Squadrons and Miles Morales in the next couple of months. And maybe at some point we'll do a ranking of my favorite video games. We'll see. But until then, let's just jump right into the review with some of the negatives of this game. One of the major cons is that it can be very repetitive, whether that's the gameplay, the gameplay is really fun, but after, playing several levels back to back, with some of them being very similar to each other, it can get kind of boring playing it for like too long, especially kind of the multiplayer. The multiplayer can be fun, but if you don't have a friend with you, it can feel just really repetitive and really boring really fast. And then another thing that kind of amplifies this is generally the locations, the level design, they're always pretty good, but there are a lot of very generic kind of bases that you go into, especially the smaller levels on the multiplayer that you also sometimes have to do through the campaign. It just feels like you're attacking the same base, going through the same hallways over and over and over again. And it definitely can have some cool level designs, like, when you're fighting, there's minor spoilers for the game, by the way, but there's, a scene where you're kind of fighting on the helicarrier, and you're on the exterior looking at the city below you, or, you'll be fighting kind of in the desert, and there are turrets shooting at you, and there's some really cool, set pieces and stuff, but then there's just so much, repetitive bases, repetitive little ground areas. They just do over and over and over again, especially in the multiplayer, and it can, get repetitive, especially going with the gameplay after a while, to where I generally can't do too many missions back-to-back if I'm playing by myself. And then, the game can be really buggy. The primary bug I had was things not loading as fast as they should, so there'd be a scene where characters are talking on the helicarrier, but the helicarrier hasn't loaded in yet, so it's you just see the characters standing in, on a white screen, and then eventually after, half a minute into the conversation, then the helicarrier and settings around them show up. So that was kind of weird. And there was another scene where, character was looking out the window of the Quinjet, and they saw, a city, and like, wow, that's so weird, because they're looking at something out there, but you couldn't see the city or anything about it. It was just a white screen, and it took them, 20 seconds for it to load in, so I never got to full look at it. So and there are other minor glitches. I don't know if it's in the main game, but in the beta, Black Widow as an NPC when following me just kind of fell through the floor and never came out until the level was over. So that was kind of annoying. And then there's a Captain America skin that has a really, really weird face that looks like they didn't finish it. Those are a few minor glitches, but there are definitely a lot of bugs in this game. And my final big complaint would be the loot system is kind of weird, because with every character you can collect loot off enemies and use them to make yourself stronger. You can get it from a store, but it doesn't feel like you're progressing too much. It's just like you'll grab something from an enemy, and then you'll go to the loot menu, and it'll say you have stronger stuff. You press a button, suddenly you have stronger stuff, and the stuff doesn't even appear on your character. It's invisible, and it's just kind of. You don't feel like you're getting stronger. You don't feel like you're kind of making yourself, more customizing. You don't feel unique depending on how you decide to customize your armor. And it just kind of feels pointless, the whole loot system. I feel like if they had just stuck with, the level up system, with the points, the skill tree they have, that worked really well. I feel like if they had just stuck with that, the game would have been fine. And maybe if you collected kind of credits and stuff for the shop, that would have worked better. The loot system is just kind of bland, and there's nothing very interesting about it. But those are my main criticisms of the game. On to the positives. I have a lot more on this than a lot of people do. First off, I think the story's great. It's really well written. They do an interesting way of taking you have to gather the Avengers together to fight the bad guy story, but they don't do it as if, you need to get them together for the first time. It's no, they've already been together for a long time, but there was a tragedy and they had to separate. You're kind of playing as this young, new Avenger who has to get them all together again as they kind of go through their own coming-of-age story. And I think they did the plot really well. I think MODOK was a neat villain. He was a cool kind of original villain who we've never seen in anything besides, cartoons and comics. It was kind of cool to see him, make him so they tried to make him look realistic, which was neat. None of the other villains were that great, but they all were interesting. I thought some of the boss fights were really fun. The gameplay was always great. It got repetitive after a while, but, I love the diversity between the heroes and how you're not going to have the same experience if you're playing as Thor as if you're playing as Black Widow. So they did a great job diversifying every character. And speaking of the characters in the story and kind of the voice animations, I feel like they got everyone right. I'm still not totally used to Tony Stark's voice. I don't think they made the best choice for him. But for every character, when it comes to their voices and their designs, they make it so they feel like the characters, they know who they are, but like they're not making it too similar to the MCU. They're trying to do their own thing, trying to be unique. I can respect that. The graphics are really good when, you know, they actually appear on screen and not because of a bug. But, you know, the game looks good, it plays good. The characters are great. It's a lot of fun to play with friends. I think when it comes to the multiplayer, kind of just playing missions with a group of friends, kind of casually, that's when the multiplayer is a lot of fun, and I really enjoy it. That's really all I have to say about the game. It's a lot of fun, but it has, you know, it can get repetitive after a while, has some bugs. But I really do enjoy it. I have a lot of fun playing it. And as a Marvel fan, you know, I definitely really appreciate it. And I hope there's a sequel where they kind of, you know, iron out some of the, you know, less favorable things. But I give this game a solid 7.5 out of 10. I really liked it. I hope you enjoyed this video. I'm definitely looking to do more kind of gaming-related things in this past, in the future, I mean. And then you know, also look out for a review on Enola Holmes, and of course next month, Mandalorian Season 2. And we'll see what else I get to now that, you know, all the Marvel movies have been pushed back again. And all the next, you know, theater movie, which is Soul, I don't even know if it's coming out in theaters. It'll probably be dropped on Disney+. But, you know, whatever comes out, I'll be happy to review it. Hope you liked the video, and I'll see you later. Bye-bye.